your profile as in what is your background, what is the technical background you people have. Ramya, can we start with you? Hello? Ramya, are you there? Okay. So first thing first, guys, let me just walk you through, the basic of the tool, what this tool is, what it does and all. Obviously, slowly and steadily we'll move towards the dev work of it. But before dev, I'll just let you know as IT person, let's say if I'm the end user, if I'm the customer, how will I see from the end user perspective, how does the tool behave, what is the use of the tool? Let's first understand that, because then it will make more sense to understand the technical stuff of it. That will make more sense why it serves now, why a particular application, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, what is ServiceNow? Any one of you? Any idea, whatever perception you have about the tool? From your perspective, what is ServiceNow? What idea you people have?
ServiceNow is a software platform that supports IT service management and automation.
Yeah, you are correct. So, in a layman language, can I say that ServiceNow is a tool which any company, let's say if I work for ABC company, so my company will purchase ServiceNow so that it can track the day-to-day activities. As in, let's say, in a company, what will can happen? A person can request for some service. A person can, make a financial request, make a HR-related request, or software, hardware upgrade, or anything like that. Or maybe if the person is having the record with them, what will happen next? It can be like, let's say already I have a laptop with me, so maybe again I'll place a request, to fix out the issues. So there can be multiple things out of over there. Beat any tool within the market, as in any ticketing tool in the market will be used for what? Will be used for the tracking purpose of all these activities going on in the organization. So not only ServiceNow, any ticketing tool will do all these activities, as in it will give you a platform using which you can raise a new request for any service, using which you can raise a new request for any query, any HR related query or finance or any such stuff. Or you can even raise a request when you're getting something is not behaving as desired. For example, let's say I had a printer access and now suppose it is taken back from me. Now, if I'm trying to print a document, I'm not able to do that. So means what will happen means in all these situations, in all these scenarios, you will use any ticketing tool in the market. So obviously it can depend on your organization, whatever the tool they want to prefer. So it varies from market to market. As in, I'll not say ServiceNow is the only tool. There are other competitors also, like there is Remedy, there is HPSM, there is IBM Tivoli. So a number of ticketing tools are in the market. But yeah, because of the advantages of ServiceNow, now the market of ServiceNow is booming. Every company is slowly and steadily moving towards ServiceNow rather than all the previous tools existing in the market. So in the layman language, if suppose someone asks you why ServiceNow, does it make sense now? Both of you?
Hello.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
Actually, can you repeat once again, please?
No worries. Okay. So I'm saying, let's say, suppose ABC company is there. Suppose I'm setting up a new company. So what will company need? Suppose the employees are joining the organization. Obviously, the company will have to provide a platform using which the company will track. Let's say 10 employees were there. So to each 10, the laptop has to be, provided so that they can do their day-to-day work. So if the company has a tool, has a platform where it can record that, okay, laptop A is allocated to the person A, laptop B is allocated to the person B. And at the same platform, even the person can make a request for getting the laptop. Let's say I'm a new joining. So using any platform, not only service, but using any ticketing tool platform, I can even make a request to get a service. Let's say, to make it more simpler, you can compare any of the ticketing tool in the market with your any shopping site. For example, Amazon. Just one second. So what will we do in a ticketing tool? We go in the ticketing tool perspective and we raise a ticket of some kind. So that's what I'm telling you, that to make it more understandable, you can take the example of Amazon, where you make a request for getting some kind of service offering. Does that make sense? That is the simplest definition which I can give you. And then I can tell you that, okay, any new service, if I'm a new joinee, or not only new joinee, if suppose I'm already working in the company, and if I need any software upgrade, if I need any, day-to-day processing, whatever I'm doing, I feel that, okay, the access is revoked, or maybe my laptop is not working as desired. So from your organization, wherever you are working, in your company, if you are facing some issue, how will you get that fixed? So then you will use a ticketing tool. Whatever ticketing tool obviously your company is using, whatever your company is using ABC tool, the company is saying that, okay, you can make a request in this ABC tool. So any of those tools can be used by your company. If not, how your company was doing tracking before in ticketing tool, obviously things were there on the paper. All these tracking was always there. Which software, which person is holding, which laptop, which person is holding. If you want to make request, what you used to do, you used to initially walk onto the IT support desk. You manually go over there and used to make a request, or you used to get an offer letter, and using that you used to make a request. So all these things were already there in any company, be it software company, be it hardware, any kind of company. These kind of services were already there to provide the end users, to provide the employees of the company the services, so that they can help the company grow better. Correct. Like if I join an MNC, obviously the company will have to provide me a basic need of, let's say, providing me a laptop, providing me some software. Suppose I'm working on the Microsoft Excel. So obviously the company will have to give me a laptop, the minimal requisite I'm talking about. So the company will have to give me a laptop. The company will have to give me an Excel sheet, as in the software for the Microsoft Excel. So it means these two are the minimum prerequisites. So I'll have to make a request for these two. How will I make the request? It can be a manual request. But if a tool comes in picture, if any kind of ticketing tool comes in picture, now things are more tracked down. Now it becomes more easy for me to raise a request. Plus it becomes easy for any tool, any ticketing team, whoever is working on the desired, platforms, to track it down. So suppose I make a request, suppose I'm a new joiner and you people are, the technical team owners. So if we have a platform where I can make a request and you people can, process it up. So now using this tool, using any ticketing tool, now we can track the progress. I can see, okay, how many days you are going to take it. I can chat with you using the same ticketing tool. At the same time, now you have a list of tickets which you can say that to your manager, saying that, okay, in this month I worked on, let's say, 10 tickets, 20 tickets, whatever is the cost, because now it is tracked down in a tool. Is it making sense to you, both of you?
Yes, Saloni. I think is the ServiceNow is a kind of tracking tool or something.
Yeah, in a layman, see, right now I'm not going into any technical. Right now, just
Okay.
from it, as I told you, now my training, how I do start is, I'll first let you know from an end user perspective, what is a tool? If any layman language who does not know a technical background, for him, what is a ticketing tool? Yeah, so that is the correct definition for him.
Okay. Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Every company has a separate rule.
Sorry, please repeat. Guys, vanilla, what it was?
Every company must maintain some service type of what do you say? I think
I didn't get
ServiceNow
you.
type of tool. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, any company will have those kind of tool. If not ServiceNow, then any other tool, but yeah, obviously it will be there. Okay. Shall I proceed further?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So over here, the more technical term is written. It says ServiceNow is a software platform which supports IT service management. What is IT service management? That's what I was talking. IT service management from a company aspect. Perspective, what is company doing, the day-to-day process, what is the company doing? So obviously the company is using the tool. Sometimes the day-to-day activity, like as I told you, the day-to-day activity can be making any kind of new request, making a software request, a hardware request, or it can also be maintaining the services. As in, if I'm having any service offering with me. So now if my company providing me the laptop. So if my laptop has crashed, again I'll use the same kind of ticketing tool to make a request to the technical team to fix it out for me. So one aspect from a layman language, one aspect can be when I'm raising a new service request. The other aspect can be maintenance of the service. This maintenance of the service is called incident. So if something is broken for you, if it is not desired, it's not working as desired, you will raise something called incident in the system. Making sense?
Yes.
So this is about it. So it says this is a software as a service platform which contains number of modular applications which can vary by instance as well as number. Now, what does it mean by that? So let's break this down line in multiple words. So first thing first is multiple users will be using the tool. So as I told you, any company will be using. So obviously, in the company, whosoever are the employees, each of their employees will have their individual user ID password created to use the tool. So obviously, multiple users, the tool can be used by multiple users. As well as what it says it has got number of applications. So I told you only two basic ones, that is you will make a request, you will create an incident, but obviously it is not limited to two. There are n number of other applications. We'll be seeing it slowly, steadily forward. But yeah, obviously there are n number of other applications in the tool which is very much supported by it. Now you can see another line over here that says it can vary by instance. What is instance? So before that, let me show you this. So guys, do you have your own demo instances with you? Do you know how to get this one? Both of you?
Oh, Salani, can you please guide me?
That's what I'm actually opening. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to go to this link. I'm just chatting it to you guys. The link which I have given it to you, go over there. There will be a button coming over here called register. Right now I'm logged in with this account. So that's why it is showing my name over here. Otherwise, you go into this instance, just check your chat box, guys. I have chatted to you. So go over there, and over there, what you need to do, over there, you need to register yourself. Once you register over there, in that, you will get a link called request your own instance. Once you click on it, you will get an instance like this. You will get your own individual instance. No need to pay anything. These are free of the cost within the organization. So ServiceNow gives its developer the free of cost demo instances, and every user, every developer, I'll say, will have their individual instances. You are not going to share your instance with me. So right now, when I have this URL, you will get some other URL. So what is the benefit? Obviously, my work, whatever demo work I'm doing, it will not get impacted by yours. Your work will not get impacted by mine. But there is one limitation in. What is the limitation? It says that ServiceNow gives you the tool, but if you don't, execute, as in if you don't open the instance once in a day, it will go in the sleep mode. You can still wake it up. You can click on the link. You can bring it up. But if you don't use it continuously for 10 days, then the instance will be taken back from you. You will lose your access. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
So like this, you can get your own instance. You can practice each and everything over here. ServiceNow is not going to charge it to you. So I would say get your own development instances like this. Then whatever assignments I give it to you, or whatever practice work you have to do, you can just easily do it over there. So both of you try to register over there to that link and get your own instance. Okay. So I was talking about instance. So I was telling you, what does ServiceNow do? ServiceNow parent company, it has got its, fame in the market because of n number of advantages which it has given instead of the other tools in the market. One of it is it has got multiple instances. What is instance? So the ServiceNow company says that, let's say, suppose my company is ABC company and my company decided to use ServiceNow as the tool. What will my company do? Obviously, my company will contact the ServiceNow parent company to sign a contract. Once any company signs the contract with ServiceNow, ServiceNow gives minimum of 3 different URL to the company. Why 3 different URL? Let's try to understand that. It gives 3 different URL because the company says that, okay, one URL will be designated to the developers. One URL will be designated for the testing purpose. And finally, the URL will be there, the third one, which will be used by the customers. So actually the customers, when I have to, suppose I'm the end user, I have to make a request for some kind of service offering, I'll go to the third instance called the production instance. Why are the other 2 instances? The other 2 instances ServiceNow provides it to you so that developers can do their dev work, their R&D work in the dev instance. Because if suppose the customers, the developer, everyone are going to do the same work in, let's say, this URL. So what will happen? Obviously, developer, if they are doing the R&D, the customers will be able to see. Suppose I developed a new application, and right now that application was only for the R&D purpose. So if I do it in the same URL, obviously the customers also it will be visible. But obviously the customers will not be okay with that, correct? Make sense?
So
Guys, just talk it to me. Tell me.
yeah, can you please repeat again?
So what am I saying is that I'm telling you that in any company, when any company purchases ServiceNow gives you the company the 3 different URL. This is the URL, correct?
Yeah.
Why the company gives 3 different URL? It gives the 3 different URL so that it says that in the company, it says the ABC company that, okay, your customers, your actual users who are using the URL, they will be raising their request in an instance in a URL called production. It will be called production URL.
Okay.
But suppose I am the developer. Suppose I work for the ABC. I'm the ServiceNow developer I'm talking about right now. So if I am the ServiceNow developer, obviously let's say my company came to me, the ABC company came to me and they told me that, okay, let's design a HR application. Suppose. So designing this HR application, if I directly do in production URL, what will happen? Obviously, it will even be visible to the customers. But I am doing my R&D work. The design is still not ready. I am, playing around with the tool, playing around with the system to see how the codes work, how I'm writing some demo code over there. I'm giving some pop-up messages and all. So obviously, customer will not be comfortable enough with seeing all these pop-up messages which you as a developer are giving for the dev work. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Sorry? Hello? Are you able to relate?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saloni. Actually, I didn't get your point. Like, if the customer raise the, like, a customer give the feedback in production URL means, what we need to do after that?
Okay. One second. See. Suppose the company name is Apple. So Apple decided to use, as I told you, any company will be using a ticketing tool. Does that make sense? Any company will need a tool where the company can track which employees is having which service. It can to provide own employees. I'm not talking about the customers and all. I'm talking about its own employees. It has to provide a tool in which the employees will raise their request. The employees will raise their incident. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So suppose you are the employee of the ABC company. Suppose you work for the, let's say, HR department. So now you need a tool of Apple where you can go ahead and you can make a request for, let's say, if you are Newswire. So you need a platform in your company where you can go ahead and you can make a request for, let's say, getting laptop service. So what is ServiceNow doing? ServiceNow is providing you that help. So ServiceNow will give you the URL. The company, your Apple company will tell you that, okay, this is my URL where you need to make a request. So you will go to that URL, you will make a request. So this URL which the customers are using, customers when I say means employees of the company are using, this URL is called production URL because this is the actual go live URL which the company is using for its own tracking purpose, whatever the purpose is. Does that make sense to you? What is production URL?
Yes. Yes, I got it.
Okay. So now the production URL is there for the company, as in whatever the purpose of the company was, it is there. But if you are the developer of the company, if I am the ServiceNow developer and the ABC company or Apple company tells it to me that okay, you design a new application called HR, suppose. So in this case, what I can do, if I am the ServiceNow developer, I can do the development work in the production URL, in the same URL which the customer is using. For example, let's say ICICI has its website, correct? So if I go to the ICICI main website and if I'm the developer and I make the change directly over there, if I'm doing the R&D work, the design is still not finalized. If I'm doing the R&D work, I'm trying the scripts, I'm playing around with the scripts. If I do it in the actual URL of the ICICI, obviously what will happen? Unwanted results will come to the end users. But me as a developer of the tool, whatever tool it is, me as a developer, I need a URL where I can play around with the scripts. Is it making sense to you?
Yes,
Ramya?
the customer and the developer both can use the both can have have the access to use the production URL, right?
No, they will have the access. I'm not saying they will not have the access, but I'm saying if I am the ServiceNow developer and if I do my R&D work in the production URL, obviously what will I do? I will write some scripts which are right now not making sense to the customers because I was doing the development work of mine. So in order not to impact the customers, not to impact the actual users, it's always better that I do my development work in another URL.
Okay.
If I do my development work in the same URL, whatever code I'm writing just for, let's say, I went into the code and I changed the design of incident because some future enhancement was supposed to be there. So if I'm doing directly the change in the production URL, what will happen? The customers are getting impacted, but that design is still not finalized. I am working on a POV kind of URL, requirement. I'm just going to prepare a demo kind of thing, which I need to show to my customers to get their confirmation whether they want to get that kind of view or not. So obviously I can't use that the same instance. I'll have to get a different URL for doing my dev work. So for that, the ServiceNow company gives the ABC company, if it purchases the tool, ServiceNow says, okay, I'll give you another URL called dev URL where the dev people will do their ServiceNow development activity. So because this URL is not getting used by the customers, the end user is not using that. So even if you write something crap over here, it will not impact the production URL because this is totally different URL. This is totally different URL. And once my dev work is done, again, what needs to be done? Again, the testing team needs to test. How does any requirement go live? A testing team is there in a company, a dev team is there in the company, correct? So you are the dev team. Let's say you are the developer in the ServiceNow tool. You did your development work. Now what will happen? The testing team will do the test work. So again, the company says that ServiceNow company says, I'll give you another URL called test URL, which the testing team, whoever is the testing team of your company, of your ABC company, they will test it to see the code, whatever the enhancement has been done by the development people. Is it, if they want to sign off, then only that new requirement will be incorporated in the production URL, and then only the customers will, to the customers it will be visible too. So because different URL are there, so now customers are not getting impacted with the work going in the dev URL with the work going in the test URL. Is it making sense to you or still you are confused?
No, Saloni, makes sense.
Both of you? Vanilla?
Yeah, yes.
Are you there? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Is it, are you getting the point? What is the use of it?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I was telling you, that minimum of 3 different URL ServiceNow will provide to you. But overall, what will happen? So obviously, let's say I work for Apple, suppose. So Apple, when the Apple company purchased this service, now Apple got 3 different URL, production URL, dev URL, test URL. So because these 3 different URL will have, overall the structure will be same. Because all these 3 URL are being used by the same company, so obviously the company logo will be there common. Then overall the applications will be same only the extra ones will be there in the dev and testing. But otherwise, the applications in production will be same as the applications in dev and test. So because the overall structure will be same of all these URLs, we represent it by saying production instance because the structure is same. So instance it is called, dev instance and the test instance. So instead of URL, we use the term instance over here because they have the same structure. Okay, and designated people will do the designated work in the instances. Production is used by the customers. When I say customers, means obviously the Apple employees. Let me write Apple employees. Here the ServiceNow developers will come into picture. Okay. So many a time, it is not required that Apple team will only hire ServiceNow developers to do the development work. Apple people can even outsource the dev work to any company. So let's say it outsourced to my company. Suppose I work for ABC company. So my ABC company will do the dev work in the dev instance. Similarly, some testing team will do the test work in the test instance. And finally, when all of them sign up, then the requirement will go where? Then the requirement will go in the production URL where actually the customers will be using this new application. Okay, so that's why 3 different URLs. That is the use of multiple URLs in the company. I hope that is clear to all of you.
Is clear.
Okay. Now another topic over here, but it says that they say this is software as a service platform. What is software as a service? Let's try to understand that. So any tool in the market, when I'm using ABC tool, what is there is, it can be used. If you're purchasing any tool in the market, you can purchase it in 2 ways. What are those? One is platform as a service, short form is PaaS. Another is software as a service, short form is SaaS. So what is the difference between the two? The difference between the two is that when you're using software as a service, means what you're doing, you're using a software. As in, let's say, suppose I purchase this ServiceNow tool only. So if it is platform as a service, means my company, once it purchases the tool as a platform as a service, so now my company is responsible for maintaining it. So the moment I purchase the ServiceNow tool, now if something goes wrong in it, if the database needs to be expanded, if server crashes, it needs to be restarted, all these activities will be taken care by my parent company. Because I purchased the tool as a platform as a service, means I purchased the entire platform of the tool. What is the other way? Other way is software as a service. What is that? So if you purchase any tool as a software as a service, you are only purchasing the tool's software part of it. For example, if when you use Facebook, what you're doing, you are only using the software. You only open the URL. But any database related query of it, any server related stuff of it, it is still in the hand of parent company. It is still in the hand of Facebook. They are taking care of the database and the server. Similarly is the case over here. That is, any company, if it purchases ServiceNow says, okay, you use the tool. Like you type in the URL, whatever is the URL of the tool, you will get the instance. But the database of it, this URL, the server side, the database of it, the server of it, all these are still in the scope of ServiceNow parent company. So even if Apple is purchasing the tool, Apple does not have an access to see the database of the tool. The database and server still lies in the scope of the ServiceNow company. So what is the benefit involved? So obviously, if the database and server is in the scope of ServiceNow company, if any issue occurs, who will take care of it? ServiceNow will take care of it, correct?
Yes, correct.
So that is the benefit of using any software as a service tool. That is, if any database issue is there, server issue is there, you are not responsible. Your Apple company is not responsible for maintaining it. You just have to contact the ServiceNow tool, ServiceNow parent company. They will take care of the maintenance stuff. They will take care of the update stuff, whatever is the required action over there. So far so good, guys. I'll take it as a yes. So let's proceed further. So what it says that this has been elaborated over here. It says software as a service provider. What it does, it accesses how you are accessing the data. So when the data is there in the ServiceNow parent company, how am I accessing it? So I am accessing it through a web-based interface. I'm opening the tool URL in my browser. So through that, I'm accessing it over here. And where is the data stored? So obviously the data is centrally stored in the cloud. So this cloud network is in scope of the ServiceNow parent company. So even if I'm the ServiceNow developer, let's say for the Apple company, even though I'm developer, I can't see the database. I can't see the server. I don't have access to it because that is still in the scope of ServiceNow parent company. So only they can see it. They can work on it. So now what is the benefit of this kind of concept when it comes to any company? So for example, if Apple is going to use this tool, Apple obviously has a bad advantage over here. What is the advantage over here? That is, Apple will only have to hire, let's say Apple purchases the ServiceNow tool. Now it has to do some enhancements on top of it. So Apple will only have to hire the ServiceNow experts. It will not have to hire the people who know the database part of it, as in who know the SQL scripting, or it will not have to hire the people who know the server related scripting, because anyway those are not in the scope of the company. So it will only have to hire people like us, the ServiceNow developers, who will be capable enough of doing the scripting and taking care of the tool. Otherwise, for everything else, for any server related thing or database related thing, you will place a request in ServiceNow. Once you purchase the tool, once you purchase, your company purchases the ServiceNow tool, your company will get a URL, and in that the company will give you a user ID password. So whenever any database or server related query is there, your company employees can go over there. Obviously not every employee, obviously the, the contract, whoever has signed that contract, that person can do it. Or you as a developer, because you know in and out of the tool, you can make a request over there in that URL when you need help of ServiceNow. So then ServiceNow will come into picture, they'll help you, they'll try to resolve whatever kind of issue you have raised it over there. Does that make sense? Why SaaS? What is the benefit of SaaS? Okay. Now, what is the history of ServiceNow? So the history of ServiceNow says it was found way back in 2003 by a guy, Fred Luddy, and this guy was initially working for Remedy Corporation. So if you remember just 5 minutes back, I told you there are a number of ticketing tools in the market, out of which one is also what? One is Remedy. So what does Remedy do? The Remedy is just like ServiceNow, it is also a ticketing tool in the market. So both have the similar kind of structure, both have the similar kind of use case. But why ServiceNow is better? ServiceNow is better because of the advantages, as I told you. It has what? One advantage was it gives you different URL, different instances, so that the team work, my dev team work does not get impacted by the test team work. The test team work does not get impacted by the dev team work, and neither the customers get impacted by all these. So these are some of it. Then another benefit of the tool, I told you, it is based on SaaS structure. So that is another benefit of it. What is next? It is what it says. It says ServiceNow is based on what? ServiceNow is based on the ITIL standards. What is ITIL? We'll come to that in some time. After that, it says the ServiceNow headquarters is in where it is in. It is in California. Okay, so let's proceed further. What is ITIL? Let's try to understand. So ITIL itself is a foundation. I'm not going through it. So let's see the next one over here. It says over here that ITIL is what? ITIL stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. So ITIL is just a framework. It never says that ITIL, let's say if ITIL tool is there, it never says that you have to follow the step A, step B, and step C. ITIL just gives you an idea that if you are developing any ticketing tool in the market, not only ticketing tool, any tool in the market, which is based on the ITIL framework gives you a predefined set of steps, predefined set of methodologies which should be followed if your tool is based on the ITIL framework. It has got a number of steps for the development. To make it more easily understandable, let's take a scenario over here. So let's say I come to you, to you and tell you that, okay, design a tool, or design a library management tool. So suppose it is a library management tool. What will you do? So you can use it. You will use either C# or you will use Java, C++, any language you will prefer. Using that language, you will develop a tool. You will write the scripts in the background to develop the tool. So now when you are developing a tool, what we think, so obviously whenever we get any requirement, we only think about the technical aspect of it, as in we only, in this particular case, I'll think that, okay, I have to develop a table, a storage table in which I will store what all books are there in the company, whatever company is going to use the library management. And I'll have another table which will store the users to which the book is allocated to. So that's what I'll think whenever I'll get a requirement of the library management. And then obviously I'll decide which platform, which tool I'm going to use. Am I going to use Java? Which technology am I going to use? Am I going to use Java, C++, whatever technology I'm going to use to develop this particular tool, I'll use that particular one. Does that make sense to you? So now the ITIL framework tells it to you. I'll say it vastens your thinking. It says that whenever you get any requirement in any company to develop a particular tool, don't only think about the technical aspect of it, but also think about, suppose I'm designing a library management, why will people prefer my tool? Always ask this question. So to make your tool be better in the market, obviously your tool has to have some advantages which is not available in any other tool. How will you do that? So what are advantages it can be? You can work on the one I told you what you can think about why the market will go towards your tool. So one way is demand management. That is called demand. Why will people go for your tool? So you will have to think about the demand management. Similarly, you will even have to think about capacity management. How much capable your tool is? Is your tool capable enough? Let's say if 100 people log in at a time, is your tool capable enough to take that much load? Is the server supported? So you'll have to think about the capacity management. You will have to think about the maintenance management. How you are going to maintain the tool? Are you going to provide the maintenance of it? So overall, I can say that ITIL gives you, broadens your thinking when you are developing any kind of tool. So when ServiceNow tool was also developed, it was based on the ITIL framework. So obviously, what all benefits the ITIL has, all the benefits are incorporated into ServiceNow because ServiceNow is based on this. Does that make sense to both of you? Okay, so that is the use of ITIL framework. So it is just a framework. What it says over here, it says it is the most widely accepted approach to IT service management. It helps individuals as well as users to realize business change, transformation, and growth. That's what I told it to you, that it helps you to understand the requirement in a better prospect. It broadens your scope. For example, if I'm developing a tool which is very critical, for example, let's say I'm developing a tool which the bank is going to use. So obviously I have to have the server replica at any point in time, so that if suppose the multiple transactions are happening, if the server A crashes, I will always have to have the snapshot, the exact same replica of server A available at any other location, because natural calamity can occur. It can be the case that server A crashes because of something. So always you have to be prepared with server B, so that once server A crashes, you just have to change the pointer to the server B. Because in this case, if the company is using, if the bank is using any tool, whatever it is, the data is very critical. It is about the monetary aspect. The data is very critical to the company. So it just tells you all these aspects. It tells you to keep the backup always with you. Then think about the capacity of the tool. Think about how many people will be able to log in at the same time without the server being crashed. This is called the capacity management of any tool. So all these aspects are incorporated in the ITIL. ITIL has got its own life cycle. It has got, in each life cycle, it lets you know the better way of designing any tool. So when ServiceNow was developed, it used all these aspects. It used all these life cycles. So obviously, what all benefits are there in the ITIL, all the benefits got passed on even to the ServiceNow because it is based on the same ITIL framework. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So let me proceed further. So let's see what are the benefits of ITIL. The first one is it increases customers as well as user satisfaction. Why? Already I told you that because you are thinking about all the future whatever issues can come, you are thinking about it. You are taking server backup always. You are always thinking about the capacity of the tool, the demand of the tool. So obviously the customer satisfaction will be more over here. Next is service availability will increase. Why it will increase? As I told you, ITIL always tells it to you that always take your server replica backup. Always you should have the backup of the server so that if server crashes in location A because of any calamity, always the replica of it is available in the location B. So because of that, obviously the service availability will increase. Similarly, the financial saving will be there because always when you have the replica, so if anything goes wrong, you are just changing the pointer. So unwanted loss of the company is not that the company is not going to bear any loss. It will not be, the server will not even be down for a fraction of a second because you have multiple data servers over there. Backups are always there. But obviously the backup will only be there for your production instance. Why will you keep the backup of the dev URL or the test URL? Whatever data is there in dev and test, those are only for the testing purpose. You create a test record over there. So obviously the backups of those will not be there. It is not required. Okay. Then what will be there? Time to market will be less. Why? Because obviously all the risks you are taking care beforehand. So obviously the time to market will be less. The extra effort will not be required because rework will reduce because of all these advantages. Like you are thinking about all the requirements beforehand, you are well prepared. So obviously the rework will be less in that situation. So if the rework is less, time to market will be reduced, plus the customer satisfaction will be increased. So now all these advantages will even be passed to the ServiceNow tool because ServiceNow is based on the ITIL framework. Make sense, guys? So these are also the benefits of ServiceNow. What are the features of ServiceNow? So ServiceNow is very simple and consistent. So if you will see over here, if I know the URL, once I type in over here, I can understand, okay, let's say I know how to make a request. If I know what is incident, so the moment I type in incident, the system gives me all the applications over here containing incident in it. You see this one is containing incident. Vanilla, is it better now? Hello? Okay. So I'm saying the ServiceNow tool is very flexible. It is very simple and consistent to use because when you know the application which you are looking for, once you type in the name, the searching is very easy over here. So when you can see in the left hand side, the moment I typed in incident, what is incident? We'll see that later. But the moment we typed in incident, you can see in the left navigation, it is returning me all the data containing that particular keyword in it. So it is very simple and consistent to use. Even an end user can use it very easily. Next is flexible. So what is flexibility? We'll see that it will make more sense when we will be yes, but it is better to one thing, Ramya. What do you know? What is better? I didn't get you.
Yeah, Saloni, actually we don't know about other tools like those work similar to ServiceNow. So we are not getting your points. That's why can you please explain with the other tools that is similar to ServiceNow?
Okay, first tell me what did you miss? Did you understand the benefits of ITIL or did you miss that as well?
No, I got that one. Like I'm asking about the can you differentiate the ServiceNow and other tools?
Okay. So let's say I pick up Remedy, for example. I was not picking any other tool because I was assuming that you people have not worked on any other tool. If you want, I can compare the examples for you. For example, let's say if I compare the ServiceNow tool with Remedy. So Remedy, as I told you, it is one of the biggest competitors of ServiceNow. So when I compare it with Remedy, the Remedy tool has got its database, its server in like a PaaS. What was PaaS? What I told you, platform as a service means if any company is going to use Remedy, the company is now responsible enough for maintaining the database, for maintaining the server of it. So what will happen? Suppose my ABC company, they decide to use Remedy as a ticketing tool. So my company will have to hire the people who know the SQL scripting so that they can take care of the database side of it. Another team will have to have hired who know the Unix command. Because Unix command is used for what? It is used for the server related queries, as in when a server crashes, how to bring it up. When the server needs to be expanded, how to expand the server. For all these things, you need to know the Unix command. You need to know Unix scripting. So in the case of Remedy, what will have the ABC company will have to do? They will have to hire the people, a team of Unix. They will have to hire a team of SQL. Plus, they will have to hire a team who knows the Remedy tool. So over here, the three different teams has to be hired. But if any company is going to use the ServiceNow, only they will have to hire the ServiceNow developers like us. Because anyway, the server and database is not in scope of the company, of the ABC company, even though they can access the data, but the server and database is actually stored in the ServiceNow parent company scope. So they are just accessing the data. They don't have, direct access to make any changes over there in the database. So obviously, it is not required to hire the people like that who are experts on SQL or who are experts on the Unix command. Does that make sense to you, Ramya? So about simple and consistent, I'm not comparing it with any tool. When I say all these features, I'm just showing you my tool. I'm just showing you what ServiceNow does. So I'm saying ServiceNow is very simple. Means what? I'm just telling you that once the end user knows what application he has to make a request, like for example, I know that something is broken for me. So when something is broken for me, I need to raise an incident. Once I know that, once I have got that much expertise, so as an end user, once I type in any keyword over here, you are seeing, I was showing you that the data is going to return to you based on the search which you are doing it over here. So that's why I'm saying the tool is very simple and very consistent to be used. Next is it is very flexible. This flexibility and easy to integrate, I'll show you when I'll be covering the ServiceNow integration. I'm not going to cover that one for now. Next is what? Next is secure. So any tool, any ServiceNow tool, whenever you will see all the ServiceNow always interacts with the HTTPS protocol. What is HTTPS protocol? It is a secure protocol. So whatever the data transaction happens, it happens through a secured network. So when it happens through a secure network, obviously the data security is more. So it is more beneficial. That is, whenever I suppose I'm passing some data to the database or the database is returning some data to the ServiceNow tool, the data can never be hacked because it is HTTPS protocol. So ServiceNow always follows HTTPS protocol. So always your data is more secure comparison to any other HTTP protocol tools. So because of that, the security is there. Speed time to production. So already I told you that ServiceNow is based on the ITIL, and in the ITIL I told you that n number of benefits are there in the ITIL framework. So all those benefits are going to get passed on to your ServiceNow tool as well. So far so good, guys. Any query? Ramya, you are not able to relate things over here. See, right now, Ramya, whatever I'm talking about, I'm not talking about any technical term. Neither of these is a technical term. I'm not saying any term from a ServiceNow perspective in specific. Whatever I'm talking till now is only from a layman perspective. From an end user perspective, what do you understand? Scripting and all, we'll be seeing it at a much later stage. Right now, I want you to be clear that from an end user perspective, what will be your understanding to understand any tool in the market. So is it making sense to you? Any query so far? Both of you? There is no access prerequisite for ServiceNow, but yeah, that's why I asked you people that if you have worked on any language like your Java, C++, HTML, anything, it will be good for me, because the only prerequisite is that if you come from any technical background, at least you are able to relate the things. When I say you, okay, think about the requirement, you are able to picturize the requirement because you have worked on any kind of languages. So that is the only prerequisite which I see. But yeah, if you know HTML and if you know JavaScript, your starting work will become easy. I'll not say it is a prerequisite, but I'll say that if you know it, it will become more easy for you. So I would say if you people have time, go to W3 schools, try to learn HTML. It will be easy because your tasks will become more easy. It will take less time for you to understand. So if you have time, go over there, try to make that understanding. Okay then guys, let's catch up tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll start with the, much detailed way as in what is incident, what is problem. All those much details one which we'll see tomorrow. Okay then. Thanks everyone.